Welcome to Brave Healer Productions. We are waking the world up to what's possible for healing, one brave word at a time. Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we are helping the world experience what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the authors of one of our newest books. You guys, this one is called We Lead. Building connection, community, and collaboration for women in business. And this is volume 2 in a really powerful series by our lead author, AliceAnne Loftus. And before I introduce these powerful women to you, I want to say a huge thanks to AliceAnne. Girl, you had a big mission and vision for this book. You gathered a stellar expert author cast, and I am so grateful and honored to be on this journey with you. We wouldn't be here without you. So huge shout out to you and what you're doing with the We Lead series. So I have some pretty cool people in my Zoom room today. Julie Campbell is president and CEO of the nonprofit Severn Leadership Group, making the world better through virtuous leadership. Karen Morris is with us. She's with 25 plus years of entrepreneurial experience, founded Annapolis Home Concierge, providing peace of mind, home watch, and concierge services for second homeowners, travelers, and snowbirds. Sophia Hardesty is here today. She's a mompreneur and owner of a successful and innovative music school, Naptown Sings and Plays, where she helps students to fall in love with music and trains her staff to do the same. And Tina Hamilton is here. She's a certified trauma-informed mentor and intuitive healing guide who empowers women to embrace vulnerability, trust their intuition, and rediscover their inner light. Ladies, welcome. I'm excited to talk to you today about the chapters that you wrote in this beautiful book and really the master teachings also. Get ready, listeners. Get your notepads out because there's going to be some golden nuggets for you today. Julie, you're going to start the party off today. Tell us about the why behind your chapter.
Well, good morning. Thank you, Laura. So my chapter is chapter 4. It's called Give and Receive Feedback Like a Pro, the Key to Excellence in Your Business. And the why, well, feedback is something that has been hard for me since day one. But I know it's so important in what I do in my business and in my personal life. And I don't like conflict. And so feedback still is a struggle for me. And I need to be intentional. I need to really think through it. I have to practice it and I have to pause and think through it. So I want other people to become more comfortable with feedback. I want them to reap the benefits, make it a practice, make it a habit in their life so that they can see the fruits of constructive feedback. It's also helpful. My practice is to practice it with love and having those tough conversations. So I'm hopeful that this chapter gives, people will resonate with the chapter because feedback can be so hard, and then give them some tips to move forward.
I love this topic so much. I remember a moment back in the beginning of my writing career where I was getting better at it, but was not the greatest, and was with a mentor, and we got this manuscript, literal paper, printed out papers back, and it was full of red marks. And I was like, oh, do I really want this feedback? But there's a thing like most people who want to get better in life, doesn't matter what you're doing, you should want the feedback, but there's some resistance like, oh, that means I'm not good enough. Right? Tell me more about what you think is important when we're getting that mindset shift going with feedback.
Sure. I would say you really have to take a look at your ego, and it takes some humility to do that and some tough skin. But if you take the time, and I think that's what I start doing in the chapter, really to look at our relationship with feedback, our personal relationship with feedback, because you need to understand that first before you give feedback. And so understanding that can help you put some things in place, whether it's triggers that you know are going to happen, so you have coping mechanisms for that. But really, when you look at what we do really matters, and I come from it from a matter mindset. So whether it's improving in my business or in my relationships, I want to look at that feedback through a lens of what is that nugget of wisdom that I can get from that. And when I go in with that, without getting my defenses up, and I take the time to pause and even tell the person, if the person is giving me feedback, hey, you know what, I need to sit with this for a little bit, and take some time with that. Like you said, talk with a mentor and make sure, what did I hear? Is there some truth in that? Then I think approaching it that way from the mattering mindset and a healthy mindset, you're going to really start to embrace feedback.
There's so many ways to go with this discussion about feedback, giving, receiving, but you stated what I think is a power question. What is my personal relationship to it? Because if y'all can go back to a time where you were massively triggered, then you're going to have a clue as to why you took that into your later adult life and still feel that way if somebody says something to you. That awareness, and that's, y'all are going to get that so many times in this interview today, golden nuggets of awareness. If you even just have that one small shift of awareness, oh my gosh, it can change your life, right? Yeah. Yeah, I love this topic, Julie. Thank you so much for not just for saying yes to the project, but for being here and sharing all that you have to share today. Karen, you're up next. Tell us a little bit of the why behind your chapter.
Hi. Well, Laura, thank you again for having us on today. My chapter is chapter 7, New Beginnings in the Second Half. And I'm sharing tips for starting a new career at midlife. And what really motivated me to share this story is that I think there's a lot of women my age in midlife who are dissatisfied with their jobs, are feeling uninspired, and feel like maybe their time is done. And what I wanted to share is that if I can do it, you can do it too. And then how I did it, and that it's never too late to start over if you really want to. And one of the main things that really helped me was finding a group of women who could boost me up and give me confidence. I found that in this group at the collective, and there's many groups like this. And so if you're feeling insecure or depressed or just washed up, if you really want to start over, you can. And that's what really motivated me to be vulnerable and share how I was feeling and what I did about it.
I think you said one of the most important things about this topic, and that is surround yourself with people who will lift you up and raise your vibe and encourage you, and inspire you. You're making me think of this article that circulates now and again, where it's this magazine article or something I've seen on the internet too, where it says like all these amazing famous people didn't start their business until they were 50 something, 60 something, 70 something, right? And I like to be inspired like that, because I was one of those people. I shifted big time midlife. If someone's on the path, maybe they're feeling a little bit like what you were describing. If they're sitting home alone right now, what would be the go-to that you'd have them do? We talked about reaching out, but what about a personal practice? What would you have them do?
So you really have to dig deep. You really have to dig deep and ask yourself those questions. And you have to be vulnerable, and you have to be honest with yourself. And you have to say, what am I passionate about? It really starts with, what are the things you like? Do you like, maybe you're a therapist, but you really like running. How can you mesh the two? Maybe you have a background in finance, but you're really good at organization. How can you bring those to do? So start with your passion, and then what makes you most happy when you're doing it? What do are you most happy being with your children? Are you most happy, is it a combination of the two? How can you blend your passion and your happy place? And you'd really be surprised at what floats to the top. And then from there, you can start to explore groups, and then find out what you're not doing well. Where are you feeling least confident? I was scared to death to present. I hadn't been the head of an organization for at least 20 years. I'd done entrepreneurial stints, but I hadn't been part of a big group leading a team. Went out and I found, the collective with AliceAnne. And then I worked on building my confidence. And it's amazing when you surround yourself with people who build you up, you pick up that language, you pick up those you mimic what you see, what you surround yourself. If you surround yourself with positivity, you'd be surprised at how quickly those negative thoughts dissipate. And so that's where I would start.
Yeah, you will adopt new, better habits by
Right.
being around people. Yes. Powerful ones too. Oh my gosh. I love this topic also. I love all the topics in this book, but I love this topic also just because of the excitement I feel inside of me when you give somebody hope like that. Like, oh, I never thought about matching running with my other thing, right? I like that example that you made. Karen, thank you also for saying yes to this project, and thanks for being here today. Sophia, tell us the why of your chapter.
Yeah, so my chapter is the evolution of a mompreneur, developing flexible systems to overcome overwhelm. And I was a business owner first before I was a mom, and things are a lot easier when you're just a business owner and not a mom. You can work for 15 hours straight and everything's great, but when you have kids, you don't have that option anymore. So when I became a mom, I found it very difficult to do both, especially like when the pandemic hit. My kids are 3 and 5, so I've got pandemic babies. And I got really stuck and really overwhelmed. I was trying to wear all these hats and I felt like I was not doing any of them well. And it led to a lot of like postpartum depression and anxiety. And I was trying to find a way out of it. And none of my friends could relate. I have a weird hours. So my stay-at-home mom friends were like, oh, I don't know how you do it. And I'm like, yeah, me neither. And my working mom friends had really set schedules. And I'm this entrepreneur, like, with no one I could really talk to. When I started trying to read books on how to come up with routines and schedules, they were all written by men who were telling me, you need to have a set routine and you need to do this and you need to do that. And it's like, well, I guess you weren't up at 4 a.m. with your child projectile vomiting while you're trying to launch like your summer camps for the season. That actually happened. So I felt like there was nobody guiding me. I felt very lost. And I had to figure out for myself how to climb out of the hole. So I wrote this chapter because I'm sure there are other mompreneurs out there. I know that name gets a bad rap sometimes, but I wear it as a badge of honor. It's like, yeah, I do both. This is my identity now. I'm a mom and an entrepreneur. And I wrote the chapter just to give my experiences of how I got unstuck and how I was able to reclaim my identity and mesh both of those identities together as both a mom and an entrepreneur.
So if you had to pick one for right now, what would be your favorite system that you want to share with everybody that's worked for you?
Probably it's the most basic one. I think it's the first step I talk about in the book, which is baby steps. You can't fix everything at once, especially when you're overwhelmed. You try to fix a little bit of everything at once, it's just not going to work. So, like when my house gets crazy because my kids have been throwing toys all over the place and spilling juice and whatnot, I literally pick a corner of the room and I clean that corner. And then after I clean that corner, I clean another corner. And then I clean the whole like countertop. And the next thing I know, I have one room done. and then I can move to the next, and then I can move to the next. But it's kind of the same with everything. It's like, man, like I'd love to exercise, but oh my goodness, my life is crazy. Okay, well, I'm just gonna like go to the gym for 45 minutes, or I'm gonna go on this walk. And that can start a waterfall effect of what you want to accomplish. It doesn't just start overnight. And it's the same thing with business ownership. There's so many things that you need to tackle, and I had to kind of zero in on what was the most important, what I liked the most, and find ways to pass off the rest, which is really hard skill to learn.
Yeah, it is. I would think every business owner would agree with you that discerning and then delegating some of those little things. But I love your baby steps chat with us today, because that can build really powerful momentum. Little things, little things, little things. Pretty soon you are exercising every day. You're taking that walk in the middle, right? And I'm using that because that's my example lately. Like, just a walk, just get your butt outside and do a little walk. It doesn't have to be a big workout or whatever. Sophia, thank you. Thank you for saying yes to this and for being here today.
Absolutely.
All right, Tina, tell us your why behind the chapter.
Hi, Laura. Thank you so much for having me here, and to all of you beautiful women. Just listening to your stories is there's so much wisdom here. My chapter is chapter 18, From Wounds to Wisdom, Empowered Healing for Authentic Leadership. And when AliceAnne first asked me to be a part of this project, my initial reaction was, I am not a leader. I know nothing about leadership. I absolutely can't write a chapter on it. And the chapter that's in the book is actually the second chapter that I wrote, because the first one I was about 2/3 through, and I was like, this is not me. This is me trying to be what I think a leader is. And so I sat with, why is it that I don't feel like I'm a leader? And the story that I share at the beginning of this chapter is what came to the surface for me. It is a memory from when I was in high school, and I was a co-captain of my cheerleading squad. And I was shamed for standing up for my squad, for the other athletes on the team. And I was told that I would never be a leader, and that I instead was a coward and would always be a coward. And I hadn't thought of that story for decades. And when that came to the surface, I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that story was inside of me all this time. And looking back on my life choices and in my career, and how I shied away from accepting leadership roles throughout my career, I realized that this was at the root of it. And as somebody who works with women to uncover their childhood messages that are standing in their way of creating the life that they want for themselves, for their family, for their business, I was kind of mind blown that this was something that was so deeply affecting my life. And I just felt like it needed to be shared.
I love that you brought it back to a personal example like that, how powerful those moments, that one little moment where someone said something in this particular way and it just affected the rest of your life. And that, again, just the awareness where you woke up into that. And by the way, I read your chapter with a little bit of personal experience, because my daughter's been in the world level cheerleading and college cheerleading world. And so when I was reading your chapter, oh my gosh, if you would have seen my head nods to some of that nonsense, like the stuff that gets said and the things that go down. And of course, you have to learn how to stand up for yourself, but that is not always easy, right? Yeah. So someone's in a situation like that today, we'll go back to Sophia's baby steps. What would be the baby step? What would I see you doing as a first step to dealing with that?
So for me, a lot of a lot of my focus comes from my meditation practice. And I find that when I sit on my meditation pillow or I go out for a meditative walk, that in my guided meditations, I'm able to bring to mind the inner wisdom, the part of me that has been silenced all of these years, the inner child part that holds the answers. And something that I tell people that I work with all the time is, you have the answer inside of you. You know exactly what your next step is. The question is, are you able to tap into that inner wisdom? Are you able to drown out the noise of the people outside of yourself to hear yourself? And so for me, it's a meditative practice. It could also be journaling. It could be talking it out with a mentor or a friend, as Julie had mentioned. But I do think trying to rediscover and reconnect yourself with your inner knowing, that's how you're going to get to where you want to go.
Yes. Thank you, Tina. Thank you so much for being here today to share with everyone. So a huge, huge thank you to all four of you. You know, it's one thing to teach the stuff that you teach and help people. You guys do this every day, but it's quite another thing to put it in black and white in a chapter in a book that you know is going to be published. You all brilliantly stepped up with your vulnerable stories. Thank you for that. And then your master teachings, right? And y'all have been around a minute. So you have a couple of these things to share with people. This book is such a gift. And I hope y'all go run to Amazon and pick up your copy of this. But part of leadership, I think, is self-mastery. You're working on a lot of things in and on yourself. Karen, what is one thing that you've had to work on or master in yourself that helped you become a better leader?
I would say vulnerability. I kind of came up I was brought up again, back to Tina's point of, I was raised to not show weakness, not show emotion. And so actually story was really vulnerable for me. And I'm getting comfortable with it now. So getting comfortable in my skin, comfortable with being vulnerable has really been huge and has just opened up so many doors. So although it's not comfortable for a lot of people, if you can continue to practice it, I feel like it's a gift to yourself and to others.
No doubt. I'm so glad that you kicked off this question like that with that vulnerability piece. I would imagine all of us at some point are working on the same thing there. It's like, how brave can I be about sharing myself, and yeah. And thank you for writing that story and feeling it and doing it anyway, right? It's a big deal. Sophia, how about you? What's something you've been mastering in yourself? And by the way, gals, like, I think a beginner's mind is the mark of a master. Like, we never master anything really, like we're going to be working on it forever, right? But I know that you all have been in the practice of mastery of these different things. So, Sophia, what do you think of in terms of that one example that you've been working on?
Definitely flexibility and giving myself grace. I used to think that in order to be successful at all these things, I had to stick to a strict schedule, or, like I used to beat myself up and be like, why can't I just like have a normal schedule? Like, why can't I just like implement a normal schedule? And the reality is, like, the nature of my business and the nature of motherhood does not allow for strict scheduling. And you can't beat yourself up over it because things are always changing. I mean, like, in the world of entrepreneurship and motherhood, things are always changing at the drop of a hat. Like a kid could pop a fever at 7 a.m, or, like some crazy fire might happen in the business, where 3 people call out at once. And I've learned now, where I used to freak out every time there would be a change. Well, that's almost every day. You can't live your life just freaking out. every single day. So I've learned to accept that things will happen and have backup plans for it, and understand that I can plan for everything, but there's always going to be things out of my control that might happen. So understanding and going in with grace. You know, a lot of moms always say, give yourself grace, mama. And I just live that. You have to. It's like one of the most important things as a mom and an entrepreneur. You have to give yourself grace. It's never going to be perfect or exactly how you want it to be when you have so many factors up in the air.
Really good reminder. Thank you for that one. Go in with grace, and really for yourself and everyone else too, especially in the world that we've been living in the last few years, and everyone is a little at capacity for so many reasons. It's great to go in with grace for everyone that you know and love, right?
Yes.
Tina, all right, take this to the next level for you. What's one of the things you've been working on?
Confidence. I think confidence and self-reflection, those two, I feel that I've always been somebody who self-reflects, but in a way that is almost self-deprecating, in a way that I will take the blame for something going the wrong way. And when I combine that with confidence, being able to reflect on what is going on in front of me, what's happening, what needs to happen, and then having the confidence in myself and the trust in myself to know that I can lead myself or my team or a client through whatever it is that we need to move through. But I don't think that is really possible without the self-reflection. I think that Julie probably would agree when in terms of like feedback, understanding like what is my role here and what role did I play and what role do I want to play moving forward, and then having the confidence to implement that.
I love this one too. I love how you all are just flowing with these. Again, I know I'm saying it a lot, these golden nuggets, the awareness here, vulnerability, grace, confidence. I would imagine all of you are practicing a combination of a lot of the things that have been talked about so far. Okay, Julie, what are you going to add? What's one thing you've been working on?
For all my life, been working on character, and so it can be pretty sobering, especially when I look back and self-reflect on my younger self. But I think for every leader, character matters. Who you are matters, and how you behave matters. And so you have a foundation, your core, as we call it at the Seven Leadership Group, but it is who makes you, your experiences, who has been your boss in the past, how you've lived your life. And it takes a self-awareness, and specifically emotional self-awareness, to understand when you start looking at your behaviors and how to behave in your leadership role, wherever you're leading. This is as much in my business as well as in the home. And so there's several ways, and we've all talked about tapping into that, but understanding what your core and what your center is, and reflecting through prayer, through meditation, through that mentoring, and really asking others. I'll circle it back to that feedback. How am I behaving? Because we often don't see how what we've done or said has affected others. And so I really have to tap into the intelligence of others and the feeling of others so that I can understand how I'm behaving and how that shows my character.
You're making me think of a moment I had this past weekend, and I had the honor of speaking at a writers' conference, and somebody came up to me after to say thank you, but he also had a quick sentence of feedback. He looked at me and he's like, "You were great, quirky, but great." And I know, and so I'm like, "Oh, quirky, what does that mean?" Like, but it was really kind of a positive thing, and it speaks to what you're saying. It made me curious. Oh, what would make somebody say that word. And I've just learned to leap into curiosity rather than judgment or criticism against myself. Oh, he must have meant that it wasn't good because I was too quirky for him, right? And we could so easily go there in our head. And this, ladies, yes, this is mastery. This is what I'm talking about. Like you all, I love playing in the sandbox with you all day because you're taking responsibility for stuff like this. You're thinking about this kind of stuff at other levels, right? It makes you really cool humans to be around. And I'm so lucky. Okay, Sophia, I'm coming to you with this next one first. What's the most important thing you want to share with everyone about collaboration? What's that meant for you?
Meaning a collaboration like within the book or just
No rules, just for you, like work, life, anything. Yeah, the book has been an incredible collaboration. And for me, collaboration means a much bigger energy. I used to think that doing it all by myself was the way I succeeded, but it's so the opposite nowadays, how I think of collaboration as being really the path to success. What about for you?
Well, I think of it in two ways. The first was finding my people and my team within my business, people that I can trust. I spent like a good part of a year training my manager, who's also my friend, to take over certain parts of my business. And it's been a beautiful collaboration ever since then, like where we give each other feedback. And I've brought in other people, people who help me with social media, my front desk, my staff. And I feel like we have this beautiful synergy within the studio where people feel comfortable and happy here, and we welcome feedback so that we can continue to elevate the business. And when I started, it was all me. So to have other people that care as much as me, or even at least close to me, it's a beautiful thing. You can feel it when you walk into my studio, which I'm in right now. And then the other thing is, touching on what Karen said, in the depths of this postpartum, I joined the Leading Lady Collective, which is run by AliceAnne. And it's like, oh, these are my people. These are women leaders, women who like aren't following a set path, building each other up. And it gave me so much, just like Karen said, it gave me so much confidence to be proud of what I'm doing and to do what I'm doing and to crawl out of this hole. So I feel like just like picking up on the vibes of others and giving out your own vibe to others really makes it just makes a difference in how you can conduct your life and experience life in the world around you.
Love it. I love it. I love listening to everybody's ideas about collaboration because I think it's such a big deal in the world. Okay, Tina, the most important thing you want people to know about collaboration.
So I used to be somebody who believed that there was only room enough for one person at the top. And it was really hard for me to let people in because I felt that we were always in competition with one another. And it wasn't until I was a few years into my own healing journey when I realized that that was my wounded self talking. That was my past experiences where there wasn't room for me and my ideas. And so it had to be this cutthroat environment. And what I have found about collaboration, both in AliceAnne's community and in other communities that I belong to, is that we are stronger together and that there absolutely is enough room for all of us in the room. And the more that we can lean into that, the more we are able to pour our light out into the world, the bigger impact we're able to have in the world.
Yes, agree, 100%. Love that. I've experienced it as well. And I have a similar path coming from that mindset to this mindset. And it's just, yeah, it's a game changer. Julie, how about you? What's that one thing you want people to know about collaboration?
So I talked about character and that center and that formation of that core, and firming what one of the firm foundations of the core are living through a set of virtues. And I'm getting to this collaboration. So, but two of the virtues that we espouse at Summer Leadership Group are love and relationships. So when I look at collaboration, those two virtues really support and are supported by collaboration. I think people matter. They want to feel that they matter. And so through collaboration, I'm actually looking at it from the other end. They're giving through collaborating with others. That is an act of service. That's all part of that love. And it really, that instinct that we as people, as humans, need to feel like we're needed. And so I think when we come together and we collaborate, not only am I reaping the benefits from all that I get from these wonderful women, some here today, and all that I learn, but I feel like I matter. And when I can give of what I can share from my experiences or from my knowledge. And so it's really a two-way street of fabulousness.
Of fabulous awesomeness. Yes, it
Yes.
is. I love that. Okay, Karen, sometimes it's hard to go last on these questions, but I know you've got your powerful 2 cents about collaboration. What's it meant to you?
So in my chapter, I talk, in my practice, I talk about learning from successful people. And so I'm going to put a little different spin on that's a way to collaborate, right? Learning from different people, but it's not about imitation. It's really about learning strategies that might work for you. And I hope you'll find what I found is that it was affirming. It reaffirmed in me that I was worthy and smart and had these skills to reinvent myself. So you're really a sum of your whole, right? Everything prepares you for the next thing. And by collaborating in this group, I've found that. So not only has it been affirming, but collaboration can also inspire you.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. It's, it's one of the reasons I love these expert collaborations that we're putting together on a topic, this one being leadership. Not everybody is going to resonate with every single voice. That's why I want all the voices, all the unique ways you all are talking about leadership and bringing those all together in this particular collaboration. That means we're going to help more people. And I love that piece of it for me. I think about it every day, how powerful we are together. It's been said already. So I have one more question for all of you. I love this question. I think about this a lot. I'm walking around my house sometimes and I think, well, what would I tell the Laura that started her business that year? Like if I could go back now and give her some advice, and I want you all to try to do this in a sentence. Mine would go something like, Laura, believe in and invest in yourself sooner. Take the risks sooner, go for it, right? You're worth it. And that's my version of what I would tell that Laura back then when she had all these dreams about starting her business. Tina, what would you tell the earlier Tina?
You're gonna make me cry.
Oh.
So I would tell her, you have the wisdom and the knowledge inside of you. You know exactly what it is that you need. You know exactly what it is that you want to share with this world. Have the confidence and belief in yourself that you can do it.
I love it. Thank you, Tina. That's for everybody, right? All of these are going to be for everyone. Julie, what would you tell that Julie?
I would say, Julie, don't forget to have fun. Take time to have fun. Stop working so hard.
I think I will steal yours also. I would have told my earlier Laura that as well. That's such a good one. Gosh, life is short, you guys. I have this I wish you could all see it. I'll have to bring it to my desk one time for a podcast, but it's a little card on the wall that says the amount of success is measured by how much fun I'm having, right? Success equals The fun. I love that. Karen, how about you? What would you tell that Karen?
This is tough. There's so many things I would tell myself, but I think what floats to the top is don't be afraid. What is the worst that can happen? And once I figure out, I'm like, wow, that's not so bad. I might fail. I might fall. Get up again. You can do it. So I wouldn't be so afraid. I wouldn't have played it so conservatively. Like, take the risk. You
Love
might
it.
just be surprised.
Yes. Probably you will be surprised, right? Yes. I love it. Okay, Sophia, you're going to close us out with this last one. What would you tell that Sophia?
I think I would say, Sophia, you persisted. You persisted when you wanted to give up. You persisted when there were unique challenges in your life. And because of that, you created the exact life that you wanted. You created this beautiful, amazing, perfect for you life. And I'm so proud of you.
Such a beautiful message. Oh my gosh, ladies, thank you so much for what you do in the world and for being here today to share it with everyone. You guys, We Lead, our volume 2 book. This is volume 1 in the series. Our volume 2 book is over on Amazon, and we hope you go buy both of these volumes. These books are incredible gifts with these beautiful, real stories and master teachings. And this is way more than a book. This is a generous community of amazing women who are there to answer a question that you have maybe from today. Maybe something someone said gave you the goosebumps and you just want to continue the conversation, or maybe you need some support. Well, they're up to some amazing things. So please drop down into the show notes where I have everybody hooked up with their links and websites, and you can reach out. We hope you do. You can also join us for our book launch party. That's going to be November 22nd at 10 a.m. Eastern. We're going to have all the We Lead Volume 2 authors with us on Zoom. So I have that Zoom registration and information down below as well. And lastly, everyone, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.